All right, logistics. So why do I care? Why should you care? I just think that's a great question because, you know, run into it a lot and ask myself that question a lot. Of course, I think I know the reason why. Um, and, you know, for me personally, one of the key reasons why I care about logistics is I want to make my life a lot easier. And what I found is when I don't, you know, do logistics, and we'll talk about what that is, life is just a lot harder. It's a lot more complicated. I spend a lot more time doing things. And, you know, I like to make things do things as quickly as possible. Now, there's some things you just can't do fast. You know, you can't bake a cake any faster. It is what it is. You can't heal a wound any faster. Physical wound is what I'm talking about specifically. I've tried to do it. You know, if I exercise, take vitamins or whatever, it's going to heal faster. It just doesn't work. It takes a certain amount of time for that to happen. So there are things to do, but logistics can really be a time saver, make life a whole lot easier. It does require a lot more work up front with things. It's the thing that happens that nobody hardly sees. It's behind the scenes typically. It's done up front. But if something doesn't come off right or well, it's a big thing. I think logistics, the word, at least in more modern day, you know, comes from you know, a war type of situation where you've got to get troops, manpower, equipment, and supplies, and keep them coming to be able to, you know, conduct battle in a location on, you know, some other place. And so it's everything that it takes to make that happen. So logistics is coordination, operation, and planning. It's a detailed coordination of a complex operation involving people, facility, and supplies. As a follower of Jesus, you're in a kingdom, God's kingdom. For every kingdom to operate efficiently and effectively, logistics is necessary. So if you think about it from a kingdom perspective, you know, kingdom's got to operate, and there's all kinds of things that have to happen in a kingdom, and in God's kingdom. We want to operate as efficiently and as effectively as we possibly can. All right, anytime you minister to men, logistics is going to be needed. One of the projects that you had was, hopefully you put some time into it, was to think about doing a Wild at Heart Basic, and what is it going to take to make that happen? You know, you got to find a place, you got to advertise, publicize it, promote it. Do you need any promotional materials? What's your time frame? What's your timeline? How many people do you think you're going to have? What's going to be the cost? How are people going to pay? What food are you going to have? You're going to buy the food, cook the food. You're going to have somebody else cook it. You're going to do videos. Where are you going to get the videos from? Do you have the equipment? Anyway, I could just go on and on and on. Okay, there's a lot to it, but that's the idea, is to kind of, you know, think through something like that. And again, most of that work is done up front. And so, all right. So anytime you minister to men, logistics is needed. You do logistics every day, and I mentioned that. Even cooking a meal, you got to plan that out. I guess you could start and go, oh, let's see, I need some flour. Go to the grocery store. Go to the grocery store to get flour. You come back and you go, oh, I need some butter. I guess I better go back to the grocery store. So you got to go to the grocery store to get your butter. You come back, you know, oh man, I need eggs. And you go, yeah, I'm tired of going to the grocery store. Maybe I'll go to my neighbor, knock on the door. Anyway, I can make up all kinds of good stories. The point being is that logistically you go, what do I need? How do you know what you need? Well, you need to look at the box, the recipe, whatever it is, and do your logistics. Logistics done efficiently and effectively frees you to focus on people and the Spirit's agenda. Now, I think this is really important. So what are the key reasons why you want to do it? Because you're there for the people. You're not there to have some chaos going on and you running all over the place and a bunch of other people running all over the place and things like that. And you getting stressed out and those kind of things. You still might get stressed out, but hopefully it's, not because you didn't do good logistics on the front end. It is about the people that are coming, about the people that are there. Even a simple event like doing a fire. You need to plan. You need to think it through, and so it's just really important. Vision for logistics building is building God's kingdom through meetings, activities, and events. These meeting activities and events, they are the platform in which you can disciple men, which you can communicate God's truth. It's not the event that is the end all. It is just a platform. Sometimes, you may get criticized, so you just go out fishing all the time. It's like, yep, that's the platform I use to reach men. So it's the platform. And some people have a podium and a lectern, and that's their platform. Some people have a YouTube channel. Maybe you use a stream, or you use a trail, or you use your backyard with a fire pit, But that is your platform to share the gospel and to build God's kingdom and disciple men. All right, so kingdom logistics. Number one, what do you do? Well, first thing you need to do is to engage the spiritual. I mentioned earlier today that I didn't do that in one of the events that I've got planned for this fall. And I do think I'm seeing some of the results of that now. I mean, it's in God's hands, but man, engage the spiritual. You really need to start there with prayer. Pray over what you're doing. Ask for God's help. Ask for God to send them in. And so that is really, really important. Find and claim God's word for the event. It could be as simple as, God, I feel you're calling in my life to go after men. This is what I'm going to do. And if you want me to do something different, fine, but this is what I'm going to do. So I ask you to bless the work of my hands for your kingdom. And now I think that's prayer God will honor. Because he wants his kingdom built, and he honors your initiative and your movement. Okay, so as I already mentioned, pray before, during, and after. I think it's really, really, really important to do that. Engage others in that, and be specific with your prayers. Stand firm in God's word. And you're given authority spiritually. All right, we talked about this earlier, but if you're doing an event and it is at your place, well, then you have authority there. Claim it, use it. If you're leading an event, as maybe it's not your place, well, you have an element of authority. But if you can get whoever it is that's letting you use the property, the owner, in agreement together, in authority, do it. I'm leading a men's event next weekend, and so my goal is to get the leadership involved ahead of time. When I get there, we'll have some time to pray, but the key thing is that we're gathering together, to be in agreement before God on what we want to see happen over the weekend. I know oftentimes, and I feel it a little bit in this situation, and that is they're just used to somebody showing up and kind of doing their thing. And I've really pushed that, no, I want to engage you guys in this. This is your thing that I'm coming and being a part of. And so it's, anyway, I sense a little bit of that. So it's an interesting dynamic for me to really try to push to get them really engaged. Like, this is your deal. And I'm joining you. So in that authority situation, I'm joining them because this is something they've chosen to do. and they have the authority there, but I have an element of authority because of the platform that they've given me. And again, never forget that it is about the man. So you do all your logistics, you do it well, and then you come to the event and only 3 people show up. I'm just exaggerating there. What do you do? Well, sometimes you're like me, you think, what could I have done better? And you do this. Oh man, you think about all the people that aren't there. But what we need to do is we need to then say, this is the people that God brought. And so it's about the man. And it's about the one man. And don't forget that. So whoever God brings, be confident that they're the right ones. All right, define your vision for the event. I mean, what do you want to see happen there? One of the things that I often do, and this is kind of my thing, but I say, man, I want people to have an encounter with God. I don't know where they are, but I want them to have a life-changing encounter with God. Well, then pray specifically that way. Maybe it's, whatever it might be, but have a vision for what you want to happen over the weekend. What are your desires and outcomes? How will you know that you've reached the outcome? I mean, if your desire is to see people have an encounter with God, how are you going to know that? Well, you're probably going to have to mix it up with people and talk and ask questions and listen. Mm-hmm.
It's good.
And so listen. Yeah. So measurements are good, define, because that helps you to define your success, helps for you, not success in a bad way, but did we accomplish the goal? Well, how do you know? If you didn't measure it, you don't really know. And so if your goal was for life change in men's lives, well, the stories of that make a difference. I mean, we like to look at numbers. They're easy to count, and they do matter. Numbers matter because numbers represent people. But often what we find ourselves doing is smaller events. So, we're not having 3,000 men, come to an event, and we, pull that off. We can have 3, 30, 100. But measurements are important. So decide what you want to measure. All right, there's 3 levels of events. There's casual, critical, and crucial. So what do you think casual is? Backpacking.
Super Bowl.
What's that?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl party or something like that? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Honestly, just a hangout.
Hangout.
Good example. Good terminology too.
Fire.
Just a hangout.
Yeah. Yep. Watch a movie night.
Go to lunch with a guy.
Go to lunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go hang out.
Yeah.
Go over and watch a football game. Okay. Critical.
Heart basic.
What's that?
Heart basic.
I think so. Any other, anything else like that?
Well, fires can be, I think.
It can be.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes that can go casual to critical, but we're making the distinction where, now let me give you a definition. So casual is a gathering, an entry level. Typically it's light spiritually. You're going to throw some stuff out. You're going to have some conversations, maybe throw a question or 2 out. But you're not going to get into anything. Your plan is not to get anything heavy. I mean, it may go there. That's okay.
That's good.
But you're not, this is my plan. That's where we're going to go. We've got to get down to these deep issues, so to speak. Critical is more important. It's purposeful. It's growth-oriented, restoration-oriented. While the Heart Basic is definitely fits in that. It's a critical event. It's one I think every man should go to and be a part of. It's critical. Crucial. All right, we've just upped the level a little bit. That's more intense. The focus is on the man. Discipleship, being a true follower of Jesus, it's like an apprenticeship. Guide intensive, yeah. So
Exactly
this,
what I was thinking.
yeah. So that is a situation like for a crucial. You may take, now you mentioned backpacking. That can be really any one of these. There may be a couple of guys you take off in the woods for a couple of days, and you've got some clear things that you want to do. It can be crucial.
I think all of them, Tim, can grow. A campfire is a great example. I mean, it can be just come smoke a cigar or whatever, but eventually get into a guy's story. I think
It really can be. Yeah, I agree.
there's really no such thing as casual. It just starts that way.
Right.
As far as the adventure itself.
Yeah, like to come to
But
say
your goals now are casual,
right,
critical, crucial. Yeah.
and you design it
Yeah.
around that. But I mean, it can happen, and to come to a crucial event, more than likely you've been to a casual event, or you've had some casual interaction. It usually builds up to that, but it's just a good way of looking at different events that you do, and you want to do some entry level stuff because that's the big net. That's how you make some relationship, build friends. Make people feel comfortable, safe. Those kind of things. The hunting camp that we do. Let me see, which one would that? Which one do you think that one would fall into?
I don't know. I haven't looked at
Yeah.
specifically your hunting camp thing, but it's going to be
Casual?
either I'm going to guess it's a critical.
I'd say it's kind of a mix between the two. it's casual. In other words, anybody can come, and it's open to anybody. But we do cover some material, and the life change that happens with a lot of guys is really the times. Barry hangs out and he gets into some heavy conversations with some guys. So it moves deep.
So there's no such thing as casual necessarily.
And so it's kind of between the two. So it's kind of planned as casual, but it's purposeful and critical in some areas. So it's kind of a blend between the two.
Let's go play basketball. No, I'm pregnant. I mean, that suddenly went from casual
Yeah.
up there. You almost hit the
Yeah.
bell. And that story, Brandon.
Yeah. So when you're planning things, whatever it might be. I mean, again, backpacking trip. Okay, is this gonna be casual? In other words, just all are welcome, and we'll try to sort this thing out. Don't know who's gonna show up. Don't know what their abilities are. Those kind of things. So that'd be more on the casual side, but you need to plan that way. If you're going to do a 35-mile trek, then you might want to do a little bit of screening, a little bit of planning on the front end of that one, because that's when it comes to an adventure, that's not on the spiritual side maybe, but that's a little more critical. So it's maybe another way of looking at it. But, all right, third thing there is excellence in work and attitude. Colossians 3:23. Do everything as unto the Lord. We need to do everything. Do it well. Obviously within the means that you have and the ability that you have, but do it well, and it becomes less of a distraction for people that come, and it also makes it's more enjoyable for people, and it looks well on you, and it reflects back on the work and the kingdom work that you are doing. It's terrible. It's like it's like in a work situation. You've got somebody that claims to be a Christian, but they do sloppy work. You're like, just don't say anything about Jesus, please. You're not helping the cause. But if somebody does a really good job, and they go, give they're a believer, well, it just honors God, and so do everything as unto the Lord, because you really are working for Him. And remember, your aim is to please God, not men. Okay, number 4, growth environment. You want to create a growth environment, this is something that you can do at a fire type of thing, a casual thing, but definitely at a crucial thing or a critical thing. It's the idea that you want to create a safe environment there, and so that means acceptance. You need to, I like to say it this way, create a no condemnation zone. And I even state it that way often. This is a no condemnation zone. And so feel free to be who God made you to be. And, so if you see somebody condemning someone because of their likes, dislikes, or something that they do, you have the freedom to say something to them, to do that. So that's important. Keep the mission in mind. What are you trying to do? And stay focused. And remember, if you're leading it, you're conducting it, you're facilitating it. What does it mean to facilitate? That just means to lead and guide everybody into the direction in which, to the goal of the whole reason for being there. And so if you're doing a fire, for example, and maybe you've got a couple of questions you want to throw out for discussion, then as a facilitator, you want to make sure that you work your way there. You don't wait till, well, it's so late now, now what are we going to do? Well, we'll just call it quits. Or you start your conversations and everybody's tired and ready to go home. So anyway, it's your responsibility to facilitate that. All right, plan. You can look at Acts, and I think I got those references there for you. It's really important to plan. I like what it's, in Proverbs it says, a man makes his plans, but the Lord determines his steps. Okay, I don't think God's trying to say don't make a plan. Just saying as you make your plan, just hold it with an open hand. And plans are important. They're really, really critical. I mean, as the old saying goes, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. So a plan is an aim. It's a way to get to where you want to go. The vision for what you're doing is basically it's the why. It answers the question of why. Why are we doing this? Another way to say it is, what's the need we're trying to meet? It's the reason. Mission. I like to define that. This is the what. What are we going to do? We're going to charge this hill. We're going to do a Wild at Heart Basic. We're going to do a fishing tournament. We're going to, that's what we're going to do. The plan is the how. So how are you going to do it? So anytime you do an event, why are you doing it? What are you going to do? What are your goals and the plan? How are you going to do it? So have a plan. Remember to work and adjust the plan. And you need a budget. Recently did some strategic type planning with a board that I'm on, and the guy that led it. He approached it, which is not typically the way you approach things in a ministry, but he approached it from basically a financial standpoint. So what do you want to do, and what is it going to cost you? We're used to, from a ministry standpoint, focus on the ministry, the money will come, and that kind of, that's okay. But it was really, I think, refreshing, and I think it was healthy. Because if you don't count the cost, if you don't look at what's going to cost you, you can get yourself into into trouble. And so it's really important to develop to have a budget. So what's it going to cost? I'm going to charge the guys this. This is what I think food's going to cost. This is what lodging's going to cost. This is what any other activity is going to cost. You need to put it down. You need to be realistic and look at that budget. Now, what I've done and what I recommend is you keep those, because the next time you do one, I mean, some of y'all are really good at just keeping it all in your head, and I can kind of do that, but it's just so good when you put it down on paper. For example, for this particular event, I mean, I planned and bought the food. I got worksheets. I've done it enough. I know I can spend, it's going to cost this amount of money per person per day, per man per day. And I've got a number. And even with inflation, it's still kind of holding there, but it's probably going to have to boost it up here. I've got meals. Yeah, I've got a list of meals. So I just go, I want to do this one, I want to do this one, I want to do this one. And sometimes I swap it around. And then I've got a food list, anything I ever buy. And so then when I figure out what meals I'm going to do, I go down the food list and go, okay, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. And then I can sort that by what meal it is. I can sort it by where I plan to buy it. By is it a meat? Is it a vegetable? Is it a dessert? And that helps when I walk in and go try to buy the stuff. And so all these things, and these are tools, and these are tools that we can make available to y'all as guides. Kind of a template. Take it, use it, and kind of give you the general idea. And then I track all the expenses, and that way I know. Ooh, we need to charge more. Ooh, this amount's going to have to come out of my pocket. Whatever it is, hey, we made some money on this, so anyway, budget. I can't overemphasize that, and especially a lot of times in ministry, we tend to overlook that or kind of push that aside. Tools, I mentioned that. There are tools that you can use, and we do have those available. A schedule that will accomplish the vision and the mission. Okay, you've got to have a schedule. What are you going to do? Now, you got to be willing to be flexible. Listen to God's Spirit as God's Spirit leads. Sometimes you have to make adjustments on the fly. And that's not easy for me. I like to plan things out. When things don't go according to plan, then it kind of messes me up. But that's a personal thing that I have to work on, but having the plan is good because you work from the plan, and it makes it easier to make adjustments, to it. But I have to realize that the plan's probably going to change, so be ready to roll with it. All right, build teamwork, and so as you're executing the plan, pulling that together, you want to be a team effort. As much as you can, anytime, even if you're doing something simple like a movie night, try to engage some other men in it, in that, hey, Bob, you coming to the movie night? Well, I tell you what, can you come and bring some drinks? Well, when you engage people in it, they have more ownership. And, hey, can you bring some snacks? And so it's a good way to build a team and involve people in it, and they feel a sense of ownership. It makes it easier on you. And so think about building a team. Again, I'm not the best at that. If it's going to be done right, then I got to do it. It's been my philosophy for quite a bit of my life. But I'm realizing that it doesn't have to be done right, at least not according to my specifications. And I still have a struggle with that.
Unless
So
it's poison, we'll eat it.
what's that?
Unless it's poisonous, we'll eat it.
Yeah. So it's just that's an important one. Try to build a team and let let people make mistakes. Let them not do it the way you would want them to do it. Now, there's some things you're going to be a little more hands-on, and I think you got to work through those things. But if the chicken doesn't get cooked the way I like it tonight, it's going to be okay. And anyway, it's just that's what I got to tell myself. If the eggs were, I like them a little stiffer, a little more runny. It's okay. I like cheese in my eggs, maybe, whatever. I mean, it's just going to be okay. So anyway, so I'm not trying to say anything, but I'm just saying that the way those ages that I struggle with, and it's like, well, you got to learn to let go of some things and just let, if somebody wants to bring a 50-pound pack on, no, just kidding. I'm playing with you. You just let them do it and see how they suffer. But anyway, don't forget to help them out. Build teamwork, leverage your resources. And that would include people, what people resources you have. Leverage them well. Maybe somebody loves cooking. I have learned a lot about cooking just by engaging other people, and they go, wow, that's the way I do it. Really? I used to think if you're making a baked potato, you had to wrap it in aluminum foil, but I found out you don't have to do that. So anyway, there's so many things. If you build a team and you leverage the knowledge that you do have, that you can learn in the process. So engage others, involve others with responsibility, delegate. Again, not one of my strengths. Well, the other thing is when you delegate, you still have to own the responsibility for it, which is kind of hard because it's like, if I'd have done it, it would have been done this way. But yet, if you delegate it and somebody does it, it's like, man, those eggs were really good. And if you really feel like they should have been done differently, well, have a conversation. Recognize and thank. Barry, I really want to thank you for those eggs. They were the best eggs I've ever had. Even sometimes, I've learned that even sometimes if gratitude seems like they don't really deserve it, we'll say it anyway. Just compliment. Throw your compliments out generously and with gratitude. It's just always the best thing to do. And then lead your team. Spiritually, physically. I remember something that, Tim Tebow, when he was in college, and he's like, I'm going to work harder than anybody else is. Well, he led physically, and he led, with attitude. And so emotionally with an attitude. Your attitude as the leader is going to affect everybody there. And so if you have a good attitude, you got this backpacking trip planned and it's supposed to rain the next 5 days. What's your attitude?
Embrace the mud.
It's like, wow, have you ever gone backpacking in the rain? Oh no, but it's gonna be good. So we'll figure this thing out, kind of a thing. Schedules change, things happen, food gets burnt, guys don't show up, whatever it might be, guys forget what day it's supposed to be here, what's your attitude? Or all right, well, we'll roll with it, that matters. So I'll just end with this. When it comes to events and things, what is on your heart to do? And then my encouragement would be, and go do it.